Healthy Scratch Red Wings Report, presented by 5v5hockey.com.
Yo, welcome back to the Healthy Scratch Red Wings Report. It's Bushy with you once again. If you enjoyed today's video, please like, comment, and subscribe for more Red Wings content. We got a few things happening. The trade deadline is coming up, and it's coming up quick. Friday, me and Bobo are going to take the whole day off. If you guys want to check out our trade deadline preview, I'm going to link it. You can check that out if you want. It's a full podcast. It's something we do for fun. We've got 44 episodes so far. There is some Red Wings content in there, but today we're going to go through specifically Red Wings trade deadline, what's going to happen. First things first, not great news. Dylan Larkin is out for 2 weeks. Panic City? Is it time to panic? Is the playoff hopes over? Are we screwed? Should we sell? No. Everyone calm down. Is this ideal? No. I mean, Larkin being out, he's your captain, he's your leader, he's the heart and soul of your team. This hurts. This is not ideal, being in a playoff hunt. But the cushion that the Red Wings have with the 6-game winning streak and being in the playoffs by, I think it's about 6 points right now with a few games at hand, they're in a good spot. The schedule coming up in the 7 games or so that Larkin might be out, it's not that bad. Now, they play Colorado Wednesday night. That's going to be a test. We know what happened the last time they played the Avalanche. They finally beat them 2-1 in overtime. Patrick Kane overtime goal. Everyone loved that game. They also play the Golden Knights, but the rest of the games, 2 against Arizona, 2 against Buffalo, and 1 against Pittsburgh, who is on the outside looking in by a lot right now. Those are 5 of the 7 games that you should be in and you should win. Something we've been talking about is the depth of this Red Wings team, like for the whole season, and they've relatively been healthy since the new year, barring this Larkin injury. But the depth has been what everyone has said is what's driving this Red Wings team. And now they get to dig deep and prove that, yeah, we are a deep team. And for anybody that really thinks that Steve Yzerman is going to change his plans based on this Larkin injury, I really don't think Yzerman is the type of guy that's going to make a gut decision based on one factor. I think that this plan isn't going to change very much. There are 3 ways that the Red Wings can go. Number 1 is they can buy, and they can buy aggressively. Number 2, they can buy, but maybe a couple kind of depth pieces here and there, or they can do nothing. Now, all 3 are feasible. The one thing that they will not do is sell. Now, we are going to talk about there is slight maneuvering where we can technically try to sell somebody, addition by subtraction. But if Yzerman is going to add to this team, it's a compliment to the players on the roster of how well they've done so far, because he has said, and so is Derek Lalonde, is like they're exceeding expectations. Like, I don't think they thought they would be in the position they were in to even go after a guy like Patrick Kane or to be in a playoff spot in March, like with a few days left of the trade deadline. This is more than anyone has probably guessed at. I mean, for the Red Wings anyway. I know for me, I thought maybe they'd be in a wild card spot. Being on Deportability, their show, I did say they would be in the second wild card spot, which is exactly where they are right now. I think what Yzerman is going to do is he's going to look for term versus rental. I don't think there's going to be any rental type players that Detroit will go after unless they can extend them. So when we go through some of the players that maybe they'd be targeting, keep that in mind. Now, the Red Wings deadline cap space, they've got $13 million. Like, they've got a lot of room. They can go and get basically anybody. They have the cap space, they have the assets, they have the prospects and the draft picks to pull off really any trade that they want to. It's just, does it make sense? And is it something that will make sense moving forward, for this year and for next year and the years to come? There are reports that Mo Seider and Lucas Raymond are both maybe in the process of signing extensions so that the Red Wings will know where they stand, what their cap hits will be. I think we've gone through that in the offseason, what maybe both these guys will get and maybe what the comparables were. And that's probably smart for the Red Wings to do that before they jump in and, maybe extend some other players. But this is where a really, really good GM is going to navigate the salary cap. I don't think we have to worry at all about Yzerman mismanaging the cap. I think once they're competitive, which they kind of are right now, like, you're going to try to spend every dollar you can. Right now, I don't think that's the point. Some of the players that I think the Red Wings might sell, one of them is Justin Hall. Now, I know people are probably rolling their eyes like, what are we going to get for him? This is what I was talking about with addition by subtraction. It's been rumored that the Red Wings are trying to move a defenseman, or maybe a few, but I think it's because Simon Edvinsson is ready to go. I really do believe he is overripe. I hate using that word because it brings back Ken Holland memories, but overripe in Grand Rapids. He's ready to go. He played a few games with us this year, didn't look out of place, and there's just a logjam. We have 7 defensemen right now. Justin Holl hasn't played in a month, maybe, something like that. It's been a long time, and that contract is looking worse and worse. So I don't know. Yzerman can kind of work some magic to try to offload that contract and basically offload a body so that we can bring up some of these younger guys. Another guy that might be moved when we talk about defensemen, and this one I think is probably a little bit of a long shot, but Shane Gostisbehere, because he's been running the power play, he is a specialist. I've said he's the most volatile defenseman we have, maybe other than Petrie, with the puck handling, and like he is boom or bust. Like he's going to do something awesome, or he's going to fumble at the blue line and it's coming back the other way. He's not that great defensively. He is a power play specialist, and that actually has been working really well. But he is unrestricted this year, so I don't know if the Red Wings will be bringing him back. Do you move him to get something, or do you stand pat and go, you know what? No, we're in a playoff spot. We're not going to move anybody. If we lose him for nothing, we lose him for nothing. Because I think really only thing you would get for him would be like maybe a 3rd round pick. That's what he went for last year at the deadline. So I don't think it's worth moving him. Maybe for a 3rd. If you want a 3rd round pick, go for it. Draft picks buy a lot of things. But I think Gostisbehere is probably here to stay. Hall, I think we try to shoot out of a cannon if we can. The other few guys are more, I'd say, prospects. Now, one of them shouldn't be a prospect. It's Jonathan Berggren. He has been at the center of a lot of rumors about not signing an extension, which I don't think is that big of a deal because he is restricted, so the Red Wings still own his rights, so like he's not going anywhere. Just because he doesn't sign an extension doesn't mean he doesn't want to be there. It means that, hey, I want a specific, maybe a one-way contract rather than a two-way. Who knows what the details are, but he is still a very, very good asset. And right now, again, because the team is so healthy, minus Larkin, like there hasn't been an opportunity to come in and play top 6 or top 9 minutes yet. Even though he scored 15 goals last year, he is crushing it in Grand Rapids right now with Simon Edvinsson. Those are the 2 guys that, in my opinion, should be on the club like right now and would help us, but there's just no room. 2 other prospects that I think maybe could be thrown in a deal would be Albert Johansson and William Wallander. So those 2 guys, both defensemen. Wallander's like a younger guy. I think he's like 20 years old. Johansson's like 23, and like he's another player knocking on the door. Like he probably could play right now. He's not a name that you hear a lot of. It's not like a sexy prospect, but it's a guy that probably could play on the 3rd pair right now. So again, he's blocked, and if you want to throw him in a deal to sweeten the pot to go and get somebody, go for it. Now, who are the players that maybe we would be looking at? Now, when we did our trade deadline preview episode of the Bushy and Bobo show, what we did, and it's actually probably what a lot of these places do, you know, talking about like Daily Faceoff, TSN, Sportsnet, they get their trade lists. We tried to do it where we made our own list and to see if we got it close. And we did. All we did was went through who's a buyer, who's a seller, what do the buyers need, how much cap space do they have, and then sellers, who's available, who's unrestricted, you know, who's not going to come back to that team, who's going to get sold off. And then you match up the team needs and some of these players and see maybe who's going to go where. Now, I'm going to just say right off the bat that some of the names that I'm going to talk about, it doesn't necessarily mean that I think the Wings are going to go after them. It was just some of the needs that I thought, hey, these guys would help and we can definitely afford them. Now, the 2 big fish in the trade deadline right now is Noah Hanifin. We've talked about Noah Hanifin on the show already, so you guys have already seen my thoughts on Noah Hanifin. And the other one would be Jake Gensel, Pittsburgh Penguins forward, you know, point per game guy. He's injured right now. It would take a lot to get him, I think. And a lot of these guys, you're probably going to have to give a 1st round pick. And is that something that Yzerman's going to do? He's done it before to get a guy like Alex DeBrincat. So if the price is right, he'll do it. If it's not right, he won't do it. But I do like Jake Gensel as a player. Another guy that I have on here, and he's always in trade rumors, is Jacob Chychrun of the Ottawa Senators. Obviously, they are a dumpster fire this year. He still has a year left on the contract, and that's why I put him on our list, because he's still under control for next season. He does fit the core group in age, and he is a good defenseman. Maybe take a run at him if the price is right. Another one that I've seen rumors about that I'm not really too sure about is Frank Vatrano of the Anaheim Ducks. He is having like a career year this year. He was an all-star. but I think he would be a pure rental. I mean, I think he's like 31 years old. I don't know if he would bring him back. Although, I think Yzerman doesn't really care that much about age. I think it's more, what can you do for me now? What can you do for me later? Another one that maybe the price is a little too high, what I've been seeing on Twitter, but Pavel Buchnevich, heavier player, plays every single forward position. You can kind of put him wherever you want. You can put him on your third line. You can put him in the top six. You can put him on the power play. So heavy body, kind of a playoff type player. I actually looked at his pickup like last year when the Golden Knights picked up Ivan Barbashev. And I kind of looked at Buchnevich as kind of like a more skilled version of him. So I would love if the Wings tried to go after him. To a lesser extent, Jack Roslovic of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Because Derek Lalonde has said he wanted another forward that can kind of play, center, wing, move around up and down the lineup. Jack Roslovic is that type of player, and he is slightly younger. He's not in his 30s yet. And he is a decent player. So that's someone that maybe you can get for slightly cheaper, maybe just like a mid-round pick or like a third, something like that, I guess. And then the last one that I added very, very late, I don't think this will happen, but Tyler Toffoli. The New Jersey Devils are in free fall right now. They fired Lindy Ruff. They're on the outside looking in and having a really, not great season for when I really thought that their top six was going to be the best in the league, and it just hasn't really worked out. They can't keep the puck out of their net. And Toffoli is a free agent. He is a UFA. He would be a pure rental, I think. But again, all of these guys, I think with Detroit, what they'd want to do is, can you bring them back? Can you sign them to an extension? And if you could, I would be way more okay with a lot of these players. Those are kind of the bigger names that I tried to line up as, maybe the Wings can go after them. There are some smaller names too. And I'd be okay with that too if they came in. And I know Zach Bogosian had a contract extension this year, but I saw someone on Cap Friendly was like, oh, maybe they can get him for like a sixth. I get it because he's like a playoff defenseman, but he just signed an extension with Minnesota. But there are some players that would be a lot cheaper that you could get in there that maybe it's what Derek Lalonde is looking for. Defensemen like Nick Seeler, Sean Walker, these are guys that are also available that would add a little bit of grit, and they're looking for like snarl, I guess. I don't think we're going to be going after a guy like Radko Gudas because he does have a few more years left and he is up there in age, although for a playoff run, that would be good. There are a lot of things like, do you want another goalie? Like, that's another thing where I don't think they're going to do anything there either, because I'm assuming they're hoping Husso comes back and is healthy. Reimer has played well the last few games, and Lyon has obviously been the number one. So I don't think there's going to be any movement goalie-wise for the Red Wings. But what do you guys think? Like, that's kind of the comprehensive list for me anyway, of where they stand, what they can do, what I expect them to do. I have no idea. Steve Yzerman can do anything. I mean, you remember that deadline where they traded Anthony Mantha for Vrana, first-round pick, and it out of nowhere at the end of the deadline. And, if it makes sense, he's going to do it. So I'm expecting nothing, but I'm also expecting something. What do you guys think? Is there any players that maybe I left off the list that you think the Red Wings should go after? I don't think they should be selling. If you come at me and be like, oh, they should sell because Larkin got hurt, it's just not realistic. They're going to go for the playoffs. I think selling right now is not a good message to the players in that locker room for how hard they've worked and where they are. Behind closed doors, maybe as a manager you can think a little bit differently, but you can't move guys right now. You have to try to add to the team, give them a compliment, right? Help them out, get them to that next step. Getting in the playoffs right now, that's the goal. If they don't make the playoffs, yeah, I'm going to be really disappointed. And I know that's, you move the goalpost, but we are where we are right now. At the beginning of the year, yeah, never thought we would be at this point where we are right now, but we are. That's the reality. And in this reality, they have to make the playoffs. So that's the bottom line. In the comments, let me know what you think. What do you think the Red Wings will do? What is your wish list? If you have any trade offers for me, if they're insane or not, throw them at me. I am look forward to looking at those. So Friday, trade deadline. The Bushy and Bobo Show, we will be doing a podcast at the end of the day. If you guys want to check that out, we do it for fun. So if you want to, great. But I will be doing any type of Red Wings news, any type of trade or anything that they do. There will be videos that day, so look out for those on the Red Wings Report. I'll see you then.